This is Idiots with Opinions. Idiots may vary. Welcome back, everyone. Brace yourselves for another episode of Idiots with Opinions. I'm Todd.
And I'm Tuscan.
And today, it's time to get serious.
That's right. We're not starting off with the usual jovial atmosphere. You know why? Because this is a serious episode of Idiots with Opinions.
Yes. We take ourselves very seriously.
That's right. There will be fewer laughs. I might start crying.
I know I will.
Todd's already in tears.
Yes.
Can't you hear it in his
down my
voice?
face.
Yep. But it's you know what? It's a beautiful day here in Lincoln, Nebraska. And by beautiful, I mean overcast and kind of cold. I don't know. How is it in Chicago out there?
It is a little chilly.
Yeah. Starting to get that wind whipping in, feeling that November chill racing down your spine. It's a nice transition. Right now, as we're recording this episode, the Nebraska Cornhusker football team is out at Iowa State, and they're playing that football game.
And that's their first problem.
Yeah, well, yeah. But we are currently winning, and by the time this comes out, we will have either won or lost, and probably will have lost. But I'm very, very hopeful. I really want to win this game, like at Iowa State, and it'd be just this huge victory, big upset. They were like favored 95% to win, but we're winning right now, and if we just hold on to that lead for the second half of this game, we'll pull it off. But nobody cares about sports. Let's talk about some weird news.
Yeah, let's do that. I know that my school's sports teams are not doing well because there are none. None that matter, at least. So there's that.
You guys don't do you have like a basketball team or anything there, or do you do like a rowing team?
There's no rowing team. I think we have a lacrosse team. I think we have
that sounds right.
I think we are just starting a football team.
Really?
Yeah. And then
interesting time to start a football team.
Yeah. And then but they're not serious. And then we have Quidditch. Yes.
Oh, yes, of
you
course.
heard me. Quidditch.
Yep.
The game that was mentioned in a couple books.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah.
Looks like a ton of fun. If we can ever make flying broomsticks work, like from a technology standpoint, Quidditch will be the first game that people will flock to.
Well, that's how we play our game. We just fly around on brooms. How else do you think we do it?
I thought they just kind of ran around with broomsticks kind of cradled between their legs. I've seen Quidditch played. That's more like it. Don't take the magic away from them. It's not for cool people. I'm just going to listen. I don't mean to insult anybody.
Oh, no, you're right.
Quidditch isn't for cool people.
I think there's also a LARPing team. I don't know how you have a team of LARPing, but I believe
that'd be a little bit more fun at least.
I don't know how you would have a team, though. I don't know what the rules really for a team.
How do you win LARPing?
I don't know.
I guess it's it must just be like Dungeons and Dragons, but you act it out while you're doing it.
I see.
Maybe.
I don't know. That's too nerdy for me.
I really want to play D&D sometime. It looks like a really fun game. Sounds like, people get into it. They kind of play their own characters, and they've got a whole story behind it. You make decisions based on, and it's all just your imagination, right?
Yeah. Tuscan, I think you would really like this game that we have here. If you ever come to Chicago before I leave, we have this board game that my friend Kevin has, which is it's called the haunting on at Hill House or something like that. I don't know exactly what the name of it is, but it's where you are a character and you're in this haunted house. And you have to explore rooms, and every time the board can be different. And you build this house, and eventually there's a part of the game where one of the characters, you don't know who it's going to be, will get haunted, and then then it's like all of the players against that player.
Yeah.
And it's an interesting game mechanic.
Do people know who's haunted, or do you need to figure it out?
Yeah, you'll find out as soon as it happens, but then it's like everyone against that person.
Okay. Interesting.
Yeah. It is an interesting game.
I'd definitely be into playing that. You know, there's some interesting games that kind of came out of the whole Cards Against Humanity series. Like, we bought one, or my parents got me one for like a birthday or Christmas or something like that, and it was called Super Fight.
Oh yeah, I've played that.
Have you played it?
I don't know how I feel about it.
It's not fun. I really don't think so, because it's one of those like community voting games.
Yeah.
Like, everybody decides one way or the other, but there aren't really any rules. Like, you just kind of have to make a case for every card you play and explain it. And I don't know. It's not
because
funny.
It's community, I think it's weird, because if it's like Cards Against Humanity, one person chooses, and you just kind of got to know your audience when you're playing your cards.
Right.
And so there is a little strategy to it, but with like a community, who knows what?
Well, it's that, and then also like people know who played each card. Right? So the community can decide, oh, I don't want him to win, because if he wins this hand, he wins the game or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to vote against him so that we can keep playing the game. You know, so it's different from Cards Against Humanity, which is totally anonymous.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's what makes it a lot of fun. You figure out who won.
Well, we should probably start talking about weird news stories.
Yeah, let's get into it. We've been beating around the bush.
Let's get into it. You know, I can start first. I'll tell you about this lady. She is claiming to be the world's oldest person at 129.
Oh, that is the world's oldest person.
Yeah. She's a Russian woman. And she said that she's only had one happy day in her life.
Okay. What day was that?
So
must have been pretty special, right?
She's just like a lot of it. She's talked about just the doom and gloom. I mean, you can imagine she was alive when like Joseph Stalin was dictator. And
she was alive when Joseph Stalin was a child.
Yeah, you're right. She would have been in her mid-50s when Joseph Stalin was in power.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And she just talks about how, you know, it was a very bleak life to live. Corpses were eaten by dogs. Nobody was allowed to bury anyone. We love it.
Yeah, no, listen. I don't feel like life is happy for anybody in the Soviet Union during the 20th century.
No.
Right? I mean, it's like
I still would go out on a limb and say it's still not too great in Russia right now.
Well, you're probably right. I've never been, but I've heard things about what the Soviet Union was, and you know what the remnants of it still are, and yeah, it's not a good time.
I don't think she talks about her happy day. She's just saying like, I've only probably had one happy day.
That's a strange estimate to make, right? Like, is it her wedding day or like when her child was born? Does she have any kids?
I don't think so.
How does somebody stay alive for that long? I mean, imagine the sorts of things that person has seen over the course of their lifetime,
especially because she must be hella depressed.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if she's only had one happy day in her life.
Yeah, that's got to take a toll on... If your mental health is not good, you're not going to have a long, lengthy life.
Well, there's that, but then also, like, you probably see people that you know and love. You probably see them born when you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s. They live an entire life, a full life, and then they die and you're still alive.
Yeah, she says something about, okay, it's hard to live when all who remembered you died long ago, and it is very scary to die however old you are. So that's just a very serious, sad...
Yeah, I guess so. Russia's just not the place to be. You know, she should have come to America. She's been alive almost 130 years. and she never once decided to come to America, where things are better and people are great. They're not, the best, but things are much better than they are in Russia. You think that somebody would have learned that wisdom long ago? Get out of Russia.
I agree. But, I mean, it's tough to get out of Russia if you're living on a Russian salary.
That's fair.
But
what does she look like?
Oh, she's got a bandage over her left eye. She's got a scarf over her head. Very wrinkly and sad.
Wow. That is a hardened old woman.
Yeah.
Hardened old woman indeed.
I bet she's super BA, though.
I'm going to tell you about somebody who pretended to be BA, but is not.
I may have seen the headline on this, but continue.
Yeah. You want me to find a different story?
No,
I got
no,
four
continue.
lined up.
This isn't something that I'm covering.
So, this is about an actor.
Yes.
Yeah, you saw this one?
Mm-hmm.
I do want to talk about this, though,
Do it.
because it's crazy. This is a guy I'm not super familiar with because I haven't seen him in the shows that he's been in. I've seen those shows, but I haven't, watched all of it, This guy was in Better Call Saul and Longmire, and basically he was cast in these roles because he's a one-armed man who, has claimed to be a war veteran and got it, blown off in combat or something like that. This guy's name is Todd LaTourette, and he admitted recently that he cut off his own arm when he was off his medication about 17 years ago, so early 2000s. This dude goes off his meds. He's got some mental disorder, something else going on in his head, and he decides to cut off his hand with a skill saw, one of those rotating big saws. So he cut off his hand with a skill saw and then cauterized it during one of his psychotic episodes. Then about a decade later, right, still about 7 years ago, he decided to start telling people that it was a result of combat, right? He was at war, something going on, and he lost his hand or arm during that time. And I don't know. I don't know how to feel about this, right? I mean, he says that he's not doing this for fame or notoriety. He never did do it for fame or notoriety. He just kind of started saying things like this, and it snowballed, and now he's living a lie that he's finding harder and harder to keep up with.
So he just finally came clean.
Yeah, he said his quote in this story said, I was dishonorable. He said, I'm killing my career by doing this. If anyone thinks this was for personal edification, that's not the case. I'm ousting myself from the New Mexico film industry, and gladly so, just to say what I've said. I mean, he wants to come clean about this. He's like, hey, I was off my meds. I was having a psychotic episode. I had some issues. Now I'm back on my meds. I'm feeling better, and wow, did I screw up.
It's going to take a lot of courage, man.
I think so. I think that's kind of where I land on this. I mean, if it is mental illness, then I obviously can't blame the guy. Yeah, he does something crazy, and then 17 years later, he's probably embarrassed about it, right? And that's probably why he started telling people he got it blown off. So, yeah, I mean, it's, I can't imagine what it's like to be in that headspace.
Yeah, me neither. Hopefully, I never do have to know what that's like.
Right.
Man,
right,
do we have
absolutely.
any happy stories today?
This one, no. No, I don't have a happy story. I've got one that's kind of funny, but it's kind of a non-story.
Both of mine
Nothing
are
really
just
happened.
kind of nihilistically funny. Just kind of Russia.
Well, I've got one that is, it's funny if it was not real, and terrifying
because it is.
in actual reality, yes.
Well, I wonder if you think that this next story that I'm going to cover is as terrifying as I think it is.
All right, let's hear about it.
So it's basically just a quote from Vladimir Putin.
Good.
Got a good Russian theme today for me.
Yeah.
and he says he's talking about nuclear war. So
great.
right off the bat, we're on a happy trail, and he says, "We have no concept of a preemptive strike. In such a situation, we expect to be struck by nuclear weapons, but we will not use them. The aggressor will have to understand that retaliation is inevitable, that it will be destroyed, and that we, as victims of aggression, as martyrs, will go to heaven. They simply die because they won't even have time to repent," he said, to some laughter from the audience. So basically what he's saying is, in the event of a nuclear war, the Russians will go to heaven.
Seems unlikely, but okay.
So,
I mean,
man, and just like the way that the humor of Russia is so bleak.
yeah, I don't know if comedy exists there.
Oh,
Like,
it
I
does.
feel like-
It definitely does, but it's so bleak.
Yeah. It's not for the faint of heart, Russia. I feel like, to give the Russians credit, they live in a very perilous environment, to say the least. The conditions to survive there are very harsh, whether that be, the Siberian winds or, poverty or famine or gangs or, the dash cam footage that we always see with people driving like absolute maniacs. Which, by the way, I don't know if I've talked about this on the show before, but if you haven't checked out Russian dash cam footage,
Oh, I have.
it's the best export that country has. For sure. The most entertaining. And
It's not entertaining. I will say, like, you could see people get seriously injured.
Yeah.
So that's why
But
it's sad. But
At the same time,
they're awful drivers. They're just awful drivers.
oh, they're terrible. Absolutely terrible.
There is a surprising amount of video of those Russian dashcam compilations where there's just random flying tires. For some reason, I think their tires just fly off. I don't understand
don't know
how
about that.
that happens so much, but in all the Russian dashcam footage I have seen, it's happened much too often.
Well, that's probably why they're joking about nuclear war and and who's gonna die and who's gonna go to heaven. It's like, we won't strike you first, but we'll kill all of you and we'll go to heaven.
Man, crazy. By the time this episode comes out, it'll be Sunday. 2 days later
That's right.
will be November 6th, the day of voting. So if you don't want to end up like Russia, make sure you look into stuff and you vote. Whether or not you think that we're in a good position or a bad position in this country, definitely vote. Make your voice heard.
That's right. Nobody wants to be Russia.
Yeah. No, literally no one wants it. Even Russia doesn't want to be Russia.
I don't know about that. I feel like they're proud of things they shouldn't be proud of over there. I have 8 goat. What do you have? No goat.
Do you remember the Latvian jokes?
Yes, of course I remember the Latvian jokes.
Oh, man.
The Latvian jokes were, again, one of the greatest things that came out of Soviet oppression of the Soviet bloc. I mean, it was just absolutely ridiculous. Yeah, those were really funny. That made my freshman year. Those came from Holden, didn't they?
At
least the ones I heard.
Multiple people.
The first time I ever heard Latvian jokes, they came from Holden, and I think I brought them to Elkhorn South when we were freshmen.
I remember just talking about those jokes when we were walking around the Elkhorn South. Oh, maybe I shouldn't say our high school. Our high school's gym track. I can cut it out. And that was the same day that Nick Gratton choked me out.
Was it?
Yeah.
I remember we were walking around like the elevated track.
Yeah, that's
talking
what I'm
about
saying.
those. Yeah, I thought Gratton choked you out on the outside track.
No. Mm-mm.
You sure? All right.
Yeah.
Those
Is
gym
there
classes.
Is there even an outside track at our high school?
What are you talking about? Yeah, like by the football field.
Oh. Yeah, no. That definitely didn't happen.
I beg to differ, but whatever. I wish I had more video of you being choked out, because that one I have from senior year.
Of Wyatt.
Was that senior year? With
Why
Wyatt?
is it that I get choked out?
I don't know, but it's funny. Because it was like, it's so funny to watch your face go from, like, I'm enjoying this, we're all having a good time, to absolute terror in a split second.
Well, see, I just didn't know it was happening that quickly.
No,
I was ready for
exactly.
it. I was going to be ready
Exactly.
for it, but then it just happened, and I was not ready for it.
It's the same thing Grattan did. I mean, he was just as big as Wyatt, and he gets behind you. And
I wouldn't say he's just as big as Wyatt. Wyatt was is still a massive human being.
So is Nick, man. Have you seen Nick?
Yeah.
He's got some big arms, dude. That guy did a lot for football. And
Let's keep talking
in high
about
school.
our high school class and the guys who had big arms. For those people.
Well, it wasn't me. That's for darn sure. And it wasn't this kid from Ohio. We're going back to Ohio. And speaking of Ohio, Ohio State has taken the lead over Nebraska, but only by 2 points.
We're in the third quarter?
Yeah, it's about the end of the third quarter right now. I'm still holding out hope. If nothing else, we'll give them a good fight, and we have given them a good fight. But anyway, we're flying over to Ohio today for some terrifying Halloween recap news. Right, so for us, Halloween was just a couple of days ago, and we got some aftermath stories going around the internet. And there's this 5-year-old kid who took a couple pieces of candy out of his pillowcase or whatever you did. Did you use a pillowcase when you went trick-or-treating, Todd?
It would change because, I don't know, I think it would depend on my costume. I think
that's fair.
my case of carrying candy was reliant on the. I think I did use pillowcases most of the time, but continue.
I almost always use pillowcases. It just yielded a far bigger limit on the amount of candy I was able to carry. So there's this 5-year-old Ohio boy, and he takes a couple pieces of candy, and he started seizing up. You know, half of his face went droopy, and he fell, and he couldn't move his left arm. It's like he's having a heart attack almost. And he didn't know where he was, what he was doing. They suspected he was having a seizure, so they took him to the hospital right away. And, they ran some tests on him, tried to figure out what was going on so they could treat him. Turns out somebody had laced the Halloween candy he got with methamphetamine.
Wow, this is a sad
Yeah.
episode.
Yeah, you heard it here first, folks. We're going back to
apologize.
meth this week.
Sincerely, to all of all of our listeners.
Yeah.
This is a sad
We're gonna-
episode.
I promise to make next week a little bit more upbeat, because this has been a depressing week for news.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, how scary is that? I thought, there was like that whole myth about razor blades in the candy, right?
Yeah.
You remember that?
Yeah.
And then, that's been permeated for like decades about how, it's not safe for kids out there and you need to protect your kids and check the candy and whatever. And then like just this year, people started putting needles in strawberries.
Yeah.
Yeah, you remember that? That was scary. They had to pull like half the strawberries in the United States off the shelves because just sick people out there would put. I mean, can you imagine? God, I struggle to think about it. Like biting into a strawberry and getting a needle in there.
Yeah.
That's, ugh. God, I don't even want to think about that.
Did we cover?
But
we didn't cover that, did we?
No, we didn't talk about it on here.
Well,
but it was
if you haven't
pretty
heard
widely
yet,
reported.
there were just so many strawberries that people were putting needles in, so much that they had to start putting like metal detectors in strawberry.
Yeah, in the strawberry factory.
Factories, mills. I don't know what the correct term was, but yeah,
I don't know, packaging.
It's insane.
plants. Yeah, I mean,
it highly damaged the industry.
I mean, I haven't bought strawberries in years, but I definitely don't want to buy strawberries now. That's
Yeah,
scary, man. I don't want a freaking needle in my stomach.
There's
or
probably
poking me
going to be
between
like
the teeth.
another thing. next.
I don't want no
Next
meth in my
week.
candy.
That's where we.
I mean,
That's where we
5-year-old kid.
differ.
Meth is candy to me. I mean, shoot.
I forgot to ask you. So you remember last week when
Yeah.
you talked about that guy who did meth?
Yeah.
What was? I'm not asking for his name, or don't be too specific, but like, was he? I don't know. Composed?
Yeah, he was fine.
Is he like well groomed?
Yeah, he's a Middle Eastern immigrant going to college out here, I think. He's like an engineering major or something. Normal guy. There's nothing super remarkable about him. Just kind of an average dude, wears glasses.
No. Anyone around you could be a meth user. Just
Yeah.
just so you know.
Not that
everyone.
guy ever again, though, that's for sure. He had a rough experience his first time. You know who else is not a meth user, Todd?
Carl
For
Westberg.
good reason. That's the one. Carl H. Westberg, not a meth user. And from day one of his life, he has never been tempted to go toward meth, has only shied away from it at every turn, which I can respect.
Yeah, he does have a giant stash of Quaaludes from the 90s. But
I wonder if those still work.
I don't know. He's shown me his stash, but that's the only thing he's ever vowed to do.
Well, to each his own. As long as it's not meth.
Yeah.
It's a problem.
It is a problem. It is a problem. It's a problem that's taking over America. The drug crime rate. We just need to put everyone in jail. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, maybe we do. Maybe just everybody should be in jail.
I'd go to jail. If everyone was in jail, I'd go to jail.
Well, then nobody'd be in jail, Todd. If
Except-
everybody's in jail,
Then
nobody's in jail.
Dude, this is $1 million idea. What if we're all in
Yeah.
jail?
Yeah. Is that our next TV show? Next time we fly out to LA, go to that pitch festival.
All right. Hear me out. What if everyone is in jail?
Wouldn't it be
Why?
cool?
Why is everyone in jail? What is the motivation?
No. Don't
Well,
think
the
about
government
that. The
decided.
government decided that everyone goes to jail, and then we all did it.
Anyway,
Yeah.
so Carl Westberg, sponsor of our podcast. If you want to check us out on the social media accounts he is managing, why don't you head on over to Idiotic Opinions on Instagram, perhaps Opinions That Suck, at Opinions That SUK Suck on the Twitter. And if you want to shoot us an email, give us a story idea, give us some smiley face emojis.
Maybe some crazy yet happier stories than we covered today.
Yeah, please, anything happy. I want to smile again. My lord. Send us over an email at studiosvolatile@gmail.com.
Shoot your shot.
Shoot your shot. And as always, I've been Tuscan,
I've been Todd,
and we will no longer be these people when next you see us.
You've been listening to Idiots with Opinions. Tune in next week